from that point on, how many did you guys spin her off into her own series at that point yet?
Yeah,
Bill,
yeah. We
or?
had a couple of different miniseries that were just for her, and we had a couple of crossovers. We did a crossover with Immortal. Immortal had a character named Cinder, and she's kind of like a kind of a fire character. And we actually had an Adam Hughes cover for that one.
Oh, cool.
Which was like that talk about a bucket list item to have an Adam Hughes cover on.
He wasn't quite. Was he famous at that point for his art yet, or was
yeah? This was past his Justice League stuff, and like he was already like
So he was a get, but he wasn't the legend that he is now at this point.
Right.
And everybody at that time, everyone was still working on their legendness, right? Like, so Frank Miller in the 90s was still working on his stuff, and
yeah, he was still doing like some interior work and stuff like that with different books. So it wasn't at ultimate legend status yet, but definitely a good, like, for me, he was a legend. He was one of those artists that I always looked up to. So. And
saying, don't forget Helena. That was a good crossover.
Yeah, Helena was a fun crossover.
That was a crossover, all right. Anyway.
I think we had a John Cleary cover, because what we would do with some of these with the crossover, it was almost like a trade. It was like a barter system kind of situation that was happening. So whoever we're doing a crossover with, essentially they get to write and draw their own story with their own covers, and then we also get to write our own story with our own covers. So we're essentially having fun with each other's characters with two different books, two different products.
Oh, and was it a little more loosey-goosey back then between the independents? Like, was everything like kind of done on a handshake kind of thing?
A little bit yes, and a little bit no. Okay. I think there was a lot more. I think things are a lot more handshake right now than ever it ever was back then.
Okay.
Yeah, but back then there were still contracts. There were still like little things of, it's like, okay, like, you can trust me. I signed a paper, that sort of thing. But the rules that we made for each other were very, very slack, very friendly handshake material. Yeah. Okay. It wasn't like if there was any rules for me to stay between, as far as like how to treat the character or like their approval of the story or anything like that, it was very generous. You put it that way. Because I didn't get the sense that it's like, okay, I wrote something that was basically in character. I didn't veer too far away from the character, and I wouldn't want to disrespect their character. I'm having fun doing the crossover, right? So and I want to be able to do these sorts of things again. So I never had a concern like something wouldn't be approved or something would be, like I'd have to do it again or have them rewrite it for me or something like that. Everything was. I was very, very confident that what we were doing was going to be fine.
Okay, that's cool. And then, so once NiraX had her own title, how long did that go for? Or did you guys just do series of miniseries?
Well, there was a series of miniseries, and then Don at some point, and I don't remember what year it was now. Everything's kind of a blur when it starts getting towards the end of the 90s. He decided to leave publishing for a bit, so I moved Nira over to Avatar Press, and we actually published over at Avatar for a while, up until probably like 2000-ish. And we did a lot of books at Avatar, and that's when the first like more adult orientated or the more adult entertainment kind of Nira books were coming out. Everything with Entity Comics was always very general audience, which was perfect for her.
Okay.
And then everything that we did for Avatar was almost exclusively adult stories, or basically the same stories I was writing before, except now she has nude scenes.
Right. Like, I mean, Avatar, that was what they made their bread and butter on. I was a retailer at the time that Avatar started.
Right. And, exactly.
Every other book they released had a nude cover. And the funny thing is that Avatar at that time, people were buying, very similar to now, people were buying books solely for the covers. Because people would buy the books for the covers, and then you'd open up the interior on the early Avatar books, and with the exception of Nira's at that time, like there was almost no interior artwork. It was real basic line art because they were just pumping the stuff out.
There was a lot of books, and we had variant covers, and we had special covers like leather covers and different things. Yeah, they did a lot of
chromium.
A couple, different kinds of gimmick covers and stuff. And at the time, I thought it was great, because it's just like, I was happy to have work. I was happy that I can write the stories the way that I wanted to.
Yeah, and wasn't that was around the first time too, like late 90s, where things were starting to go bad? Because isn't that when Marvel went into bankruptcy and
distributors were starting to go exclusive with the bigger companies. And so, like I said, in the early 90s, we had like 30 some odd distributors. I mean, we were selling books hand over fist without really trying too hard. And they knew our product, which was good. And then even if they didn't, they would take a chance and maybe buy 3 copies, 5 copies. But you start spreading that out over a lot of different distributors, and that really adds up, along with the ones that are actually buying like a normal amount, like a stack,
Yeah.
So when they started going exclusive and we started losing distributors, and then we only had 2 distributors, and then finally only 1 distributor, that's when, it's like the whole industry started. And then we lost, like, I think the estimate was like 2,000, maybe 2,500 comic shops nationwide.
Yeah, it was actually more than that. It was, I want to say it was like 97 is when we lost almost like 3,000 stores across the nation.
Right.
Wow.
They just couldn't keep up. And because here's the thing, when all those stores, if they're using a different catalog to order from, right? One of the, and I'm sure you guys probably know this. Maybe this might just be for people, some people that are listening that maybe they don't know some of the comic shop stuff that goes on. But if they're ordering from a single catalog that they're familiar with, it's best to order all your stuff from that catalog, because you get discounts for ordering bulk or ordering this or ordering that, or you get specials or a special cover.
Right.
Now you're splitting up your order between the catalog you want, and I can only get DC through this. I can only get Marvel through this.
Yeah, that's what they're doing now too. Like,
well, and that's the funny thing. So it's come completely full circle. So when I started as a retailer back in '94, it was a much different world to, like Bill's saying. There was like 5 or 6 different major distributors. You had 3 or 4 different distributors for your reorders on books that sold out, and then you could get stuff. And then Marvel ended up acquiring Heroes World Distribution, which had Heroes World retail stores, and then they started their own distributor, so they pulled everything out of everybody else's catalogs, and then Diamond ended up acquiring Capital City, which was like a Midwest one, and Friendly Franks, which was I think more like in the Denver area.
Yeah, it was watching a game of Monopoly in real time.
Yeah.
It was,
it really was.
And of course, everything that they do affects everything that you're able to do.
Right.
Then add on top of all of this, globally, things started changing. The price of fuel went up, which means the price of everything went up, because now it costs more money to transport paper. Now it costs more money to, so everything across the board, it went from, I used to complain all the time. It's like, I don't want to have a book that's more than $5 a piece. Are you kidding me? It's like, I don't buy books that are more than $5. And all of a sudden, everything went $10. Everything went $15. Everything went, I couldn't buy a regular magazine on the newsstand at Barnes and Nobles. I go right now to Barnes and Nobles, to the newsstand, and the magazine that I used to pick up, that's like, I don't know, like Photoshop tips and cool little artwork and stuff like that.
$20 a book now.
Yeah, $25, $30 magazine. It's not like you're buying a thick book either. It's the same magazine, but it costs that much.
I like paying $5 hurts me. Like, you know what I mean? Like in this day and age where books are $5, $4 now.
Oh yeah, that's easily. $5